smell those. Something for an hour. I'm just teasing. You got a Bible, if you would, go with me in your New Testament, the book of Romans. If you would, go to chapter number 12. And that's where we'll be at. If you've ever heard me preach before or try to preach, you know that generally I always have an outline, and I've got points in that outline. And I don't know if you're rubbing off on me or what, but I got no points this morning. I tried the best of my ability to put some points to this, and there's just one thought that is just so central, and it's such a big truth. It's going to be tough to unpack it step by step, but I want to do that. And if I could, I want to unpack this great truth. But here's what the brunt of it is this is spiritual maturity. And I want to talk about the church itself and how we come to that. But anyways, we'll read the text and we'll get into that in a minute. And I promise I'll meet you down there before the food gets cold, all right? All right, Romans chapter number 12, verse number 1, the Bible says this: I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. For I say, through the grace given unto me, that every man that is among you not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, and all the members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one members one of another, having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us. Whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith. Or ministry, let us wait on our ministry. Or he that teacheth on teaching, or he that exhorteth on exhortation, or he that giveth, let him do with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence, he that sheweth mercy with all cheerfulness. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, God, I come before you thanking and praising you, Father, for each and every one that have chosen to come out today. Father, nobody forced them to the best of my ability or the best of my knowledge to come out here today. And so, God, I thank you for them choosing to be here, Father. They've chosen the better part, and God, I pray that you bless them forward. Father, I'd ask you for many of our members who are not able to be here today, God, for whatever reason, one or the other, and God, you bless them where they're at, and Father, the next appointed hour, you bring them back together here, and Father, you keep them safe where they're at. God, I ask of you now for myself. God, you know that I'm a nothing and a nobody, and that, Father, I have nothing to give these folks, but Father, you do, and from your word, I'd ask of you that you take it. God, I'd ask of you that you take me out of the way, that you hide me behind the cross, that, Father, you use me simply as a vessel, that you pour me out before these people, and that, God, you would bless them, I pray. Put a guard on my mouth. God, don't let me say anything you don't want me to say, but Father, let me say everything that you do want me to say and needs to be said. We'll ask these things of you in the name of Jesus. Amen and amen. A lot of times I do preaching messages, and I enjoy preaching messages. But Brother Jim sometimes you got to do teach preaching, and this is one of those teach preaching that's got some preaching thrown in it, all right? And don't ask me to repeat it, I couldn't do it twice, all right? But I want to look at this. How many of you guys have ever read Romans chapter 12? Most everybody, right? All right, great. Good portion of Scripture. I love the book of Romans. Got a bunch of doctrinal teaching in it, and there's some great truth to unpack here. And I was asked here a while back how I got my messages. And I've been asked that a number of times. And I heard one old boy say it like this when he was asked. He says, well, I just reads myself full, and I thinks myself clear. I praise myself hot, and then I lets myself go. Amen. And so I don't know exactly how it came that God put this on my heart, but I do believe it's something that we need here in Emmanuel Baptist Church. And I don't know about you, but I intend to grow. How many of you guys want to grow spiritually? Amen. Amen. And I want to see the church grow. Would you say amen or raise a hand? Amen. Amen. I want to see it grow. Now, I've been accused of a lot of different things, and that really doesn't bother me. I've got more fat than the average walrus, so, you throw in your insults really don't hurt, all right? But I've been accused that I'm all about church growth since I've come out of that. Well, I can promise you this, preacher, I'm not about church death, amen? And I'm not about church shrinking, so yeah, I guess I am about church growth, amen? But not just numerically, spiritually. And see, here's the thing. Having a crowd doesn't mean you have a church. That's right. And seeing a church on the sign don't mean there's church going on in the building. All right? So I want to see us not only grow wide, so to speak, and out, but I want to see us as a church grow deeper as well in Jesus Christ. And so I believe that that comes up, and you've heard me preach about it, you've heard Pastor preach about the DNA of this church and what we are about and loving the community and getting the gospel out there. But each and every one of us has a DNA as well.
That's right.
And so if I could dissect some of these things, and the brunt of what I want to get at, and I might be preaching this for the next month of Sundays that I'm able to preach, but I want to focus today on spiritual gifts. But in getting to that, let me read verse 3. Read that with me again. It says, "For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith." Understand this, I'm growing, and you're growing spiritually, but I'm growing at a different rate spiritually than maybe what you're growing spiritually. Does that make sense to everybody?
Amen.
Kind of makes sense? I'm not in the same spiritual plane that you're at. Some of you guys are ahead of me, and I've got to catch up with you. But every one of us is growing at a different rate spiritually. But Brother Jim, God never got mad at anybody in this Bible because they weren't growing fast enough spiritually. Am I right? All right? A preacher, from what I'm reading, out of reading this book cover to cover and back again, I'm understanding this. God doesn't necessarily want us to grow fast, but He does want us to grow.
Amen.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Amen.
So here's what I'm saying as far as this goes. The unity of the church is important. And if you have attained a spiritual plane that you are just a little bit higher up, it ought not bother you to be able to speak on a lower plane. Does that make sense? Brother Jim, I'm going to pick on you a couple times today just because I like picking on you, amen? All right? This man is a good example of that. We've got several. Brother Jesse's another one, and if I were to start listing names, I'd go throughout the room, but I'm just going to pick on Brother Jim, okay? This man has got biblical knowledge that would blow your mind. I mean, literally, if you were to sit down and listen to what he said for about 3 hours, your mind would just go, and just walk. You couldn't handle it all right? Been saved for twice as long as I've been alive, got a bunch of it. But you know what I can watch this man do? He can sit down and talk to a second grader about Jesus Christ, and he's on the same level, and it doesn't bother him. You want to know why? Because that kid's growing the same way he's growing. Understand? So here's what I'm saying. If you are on a high spiritual plane, so to speak, and that's how you view yourself, number one, I would say this to you, watch out, you might fall. All right? But that being said, it ought not bother you that somebody else is not quite as far along as what you are. Just let them grow, all right? And you can sit down and the preacher, you can snap up all the spiritual food that the preacher gives you, and the people next to you, they might not be snapping up. You want to know why? Because they're already full. Understand this. Josh, you stand up. Okay? I need somebody else. Sissy, stand up. Aw, that's even better. She's holding Aubrey. Okay, I'll use Aubrey. You just hold Aubrey, okay? Now, if I were to stuff Aubrey, Tara, it wouldn't take me but a couple bottles of milk, right? To stuff little Aubrey, she'd be about full, right? Yeah. Yeah? Now, if I were to give Josh a couple cupfuls of milk, he'd be like, sweet, now where's the food, right? And then I would give him a 7-course meal and go, cool, what's dessert, right? Okay, understand? It takes more food to feed Josh Shoup than it does to feed little Aubrey. Make sense to everybody? Thank you. Have a seat. Spiritually speaking, it's going to take more food to feed Brother Jim than what it is going to be to feed me. Does that make sense to everybody? Because we're on different spiritual appetites. And so here's what I'm trying to get at. Don't get frustrated with the other people in the church if they're not right where you're at. Amen? All right. That being said, let me look at verse number 5. Forgive me, back up to verse number 4. It says, "For we have many members in one body, and all the members have not the same office. So we, being many, are not one body, or are one body in Christ, and every one members of another." We here at Emmanuel Baptist Church, we're a family. How many guys would agree with that?
Amen.
Amen? We're a family. You want to join Emmanuel Baptist Church? Guess what you just did? You done got adopted in the EDC, man. You wanted a family now. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to let y'all out that door. We're going to love you till Jesus comes. Amen? You're part of the family. We are one body. Does that make sense?
Amen.
We've got one purpose. We have one head. And no, the head's not pastor. No, the head's not me. It's Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen. All right? We're not all about the pastoral papal order, okay? Well, let me just get down to the nitty-gritty of it if I could. The head is Jesus Christ. We have one purpose. That's to reach the community with the gospel, but we're made up of a bunch of different members. Does that make sense? Now, I stand before you, and as I stand here, there are a couple things happening. One, my mouth's running, right?
Amen.
But my heart's also beating behind the scenes. My hands up, the muscles are working, the tendons are flexed. There are literally, and Brother Jim could get into a medical discussion on it. I don't want to do that, but there's millions of things I'm sure going on in my body to allow me to be up here preaching right now. Am I right, Brother Jim? All right? But all the things in my body are working together toward one purpose right now, and that's to, by the grace of God, preach the Word of God. All right? Does that make sense? So here it is. Emmanuel Baptist Church, we're one body. We're one family. We have one purpose. And guess what has to happen in order for that purpose to be carried out? Every one of us has to be doing our own thing, right? For one purpose. So here's what I want to get into, and that's the spiritual gifts. Everybody in this room, I don't care how old you are, I don't care how young you are, I don't care where you think you're at spiritually, it doesn't matter. God has gifted you in an area. And I want to look at a couple of these areas, whether you realize it or not. Now, some of you guys are going to sit there, and as I preach this message, you're going to go, I am gifted to do nothing, preacher. All right? And I promise you are. All right? God's gifted you in some form or fashion, and I want to prove that to you from the scripture here. If you look at me, or look at the scripture with me in verse number 6. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us. Let me read that again. Having then gifts. It doesn't say some of us having then gifts. All of us, we've all got gifts. And guess what God, now understand this, Brother Jim, didn't say earn skills. It wasn't you taught yourself how to do this. Right. It's a gift. Understand this. This is just God Himself enduing you with something or endowing you with something that is a gift. It's not something you work for. It's natural to you. You've got a gift spiritually. Okay? Now, I can tell you this. You can oftentimes tell your spiritual gift by what bothers you. If I can put it like this, what gripes you. Does that make sense to everybody? Understand this. We're going to get into some of these, but giving, if you have a gift of administration, or as the Bible puts it, he that ruleth, let him rule with diligence. All right? If you have the gift of administration, you are very much, here's how I need everything to be, and don't be giving everything away, and you get somebody that's got the gift of giving, they're going to be like, hey, take it all, man. They're going to give it all away, and guess what the guy with administration is going to do? It's going to gripe him. He's going to go, what are you doing, dude? Let me give you another example. My wife, would you stand up, honey? Opposites attract. No, you stay seated. You can't even baby. I'm sorry. Her back's been hurt. No such thing as sensitive. Anyways, my wife, y'all know Amy, all right? She is an organizer. She's very much gifted in administration. Not so much, all right? I'm not really sure what kind of gift I have. I know God's given me something. I'm just kind of a discombobulated mess, to be honest with you. But my wife will come into my office sometimes, and she'll see stuff strewn everywhere, and I've got notes everywhere, and 9 books opened up, and they're all kind of everywhere, and it walks in, and you can see her tense. Looking around, and she's starting to shake. I'm like, honey, I'll be done in a minute. She's like, not more than 10 minutes after I leave that office, she's in there and she's got everything straightened and put away. It's all organized. You want to know why? Because her spiritual gift is administration. She likes to organize things. I'm not so much that way. But what gripes her, that's her spiritual gift. But every one of us has a spiritual gift, and if you are willing to put that gift to use in the Emmanuel Baptist Church, we'll see God do things with His church you won't believe. But it takes us, each one of us, doing our part to make all of it happen. So let's get down into this, and as we're reading through some of these gifts, and I just want to give a brief synopsis of each one. I'm not going to get real deep into all of them, but I want to go briefly through each one of these spiritual gifts. And as we're reading through them, take stuff in your own life. Lord, what is my spiritual gift? You've gifted me in something. What is it? How can I use it to help this church and help myself? So as we're reading through, let's look at this. Verse number 6. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the portion of grace. First one, prophecy. Now let me say this about spiritual gifts before I go any farther. There are a couple different types of gifts in the Bible. The one that's oftentimes dealt with is manifestation, okay? about signs, tongues, speaking in tongues, dreams, things like this. Understand, the reason the gifts of manifestation and preaching, you can shut me up where I stand if you think I'm preaching this wrong, but the gifts of manifestation were necessary then because they didn't have a complete Bible.
Amen.
Right? God had to constantly be revealing His Word to them through those means because they didn't have what we have today. Alright? Hence, if somebody stands up, and I'll pick on Brother Jim again. If Brother Jim stands up and goes, I'm going to run down here and go, Jim, you all right, man? You having some kind of a conniption fit. You okay? Want to know why? Because that was a gift of manifestation that's no longer needed. We're in the New Testament time period and we have the complete Word of God. Does that make sense to everybody? So I'm not preaching on gifts of manifestation, but rather gifts of motivation for the church. And almost, if you will, mechanical gifts in that it helps the church move forward, okay? So having got that out of the way, let me look at this first one. That is prophecy. I say that to say this. A lot of people will come to this verse and say, Brother Jim, had a revelation from the Lord. You are going to die in 5 minutes. And I'm going to make it happen. Okay? When it says prophecy here, it's not talking about us telling the future. Here's what it is talking about. That's discernment. How many guys are able to discern people pretty well? Anybody? You can tell when somebody that's got the gift of prophecy, somebody that can discern people, and usually, and you can pick up on them real quick right away. I won't call anybody out, but we've got several that are here. I will call one out. That's my brother back there, all right? And Josh has got that gift. He's got a discerning spirit about a lot of things. Down through the course of the years, he would come to me and he'd look at that person. He'd say, hey, so-and-so right there, they're a fake. You don't mean what he's saying. I'd go, Josh, come on, dude. Like, just get over yourself a little bit. And he'd be like, no, I'm telling you, brother, that dude's whacked. He is a wacko. And I'm like, how can you even judge that? You've seen nothing that he's done. Show me what he's done. I'm just telling you, and sure enough, in a couple of years, that dude, he's a wacko, all right? And I don't say that to get the big shot. If you get the big shot, I have to put a pin in it and put it out, right? Well, but he's got the gift of prophecy in that way. He's got the gift of discernment. Okay? So if you are in the church and God gifted you to be able to read people, and by the way, it's not just one of these. You will have one gift that stands head and shoulders above the rest of them, but you'll be gifted in a multiplicity of these gifts. Several of them most of the time, okay? But if you have that, use that for the glory of God. Bring people in. You'll know how people think, how they'll operate. I wish somebody would tell me how I think. I'd love to know. But you'll know how people operate. All right? Now let's go on a little bit. On ministry. Let us wait on ministry. All right? Now here, this gift, I believe, is what it's talking about, is this. Behind the scenes work. Am I right, Brother Jim? Exactly. His servant's heart. We've got a bunch of them, and if I were to go around, we've got a ton of ladies. A bunch of our ladies are like this. And we see a bunch of them. And here before long, we've got dinner downstairs and food downstairs, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff to get ready, and crock pots have got to be stirred, and spoons have got to be set out. Brother Jim, there's all these things that got to get done. You know what's going to happen? I'm probably not going to do too much of it. Not because I don't want to, but because they'll kick me out of the kitchen. That's just how it is. I don't know. And you're sure you want to know why? Because they'll be down there, they'll slip out the back, we'll never even know they're gone. They will be working down there, getting everything ready, getting everything done, everything's got to be just so, and they'll never ask for praise for it. They'll never want the limelight, they'll never want anybody to march them up on the stage and say, look, she set the ladle on the table. Yeah? You know what you do if somebody has a gift of ministry like that, you'll embarrass them. They just want to serve God. They just want to be behind the scenes. They don't want the limelight. They don't want the spotlight. They're just like, God, just let me serve some way. Now, let me say this. If you want to be used as God someday up on a stage or up out in the limelight or out in the spotlight, you ought to be willing, first and foremost, to work behind the scenes. Down in Sunday school class, Uncle Ray was mentioning Elisha. And we actually brought it up, and I think I was actually one who brought it up. Forgive me. But we were talking about Elisha. And all those years that Elisha was serving Elijah, he was behind the scenes. He was the faithful servant of God. He was behind the scenes all that time, and God eventually used him, but he was willing to work behind the scenes first. That's how we all do. But each of us have spiritual gifts. So if ministry than serve for the sake of Jesus Christ. Or he that teacheth on teaching. Now, this could refer to preaching, but also just refer to teaching. There are a lot of women that are really good teachers. I don't need to set them up here in the pulpit, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, teaching children's class. Miss Evelyn, you teach a children's class, right? And she does a great job. I stood outside the door there when the door was shut. You didn't know I was listening. I'm sorry, sweetheart. No. And I'm down there, I'm listening here, a little bit there, and she'll take those truths about God in John 3:16, and she just breaks them down into such simple, bite-sized pieces. The kids just snap it up, and she does a great job with it. She's got that gift. So she's using it to better the Main Baptist Church and to further the work of the kingdom of God. Does that make sense? Amen. So if you have that gift, use it. I can promise you this, if you've ever met a real teacher, be a biblical teacher, or any kind of, whether it's math, whatever it might be, they are able to take a huge, giant truth out of the Word of God, and they can break it down into such bite-sized, simple pieces that you sit there and you go, wow, hey, I can't believe I didn't do that before. That was easy. There wasn't much to that. Brother Jim's like that. You ask him to break down the doctrine of predestination. And he'll go, sure. And in about a minute and a half, he'll have it down on your level. And you go, sweet. That was easy. All right? If you have that gift of teaching, use that to further the kingdom of God. All right? Let's move on. Verse number 8. Or he that exhorteth to exhortation. Now, here's what this is. This is an encourager. This is somebody that will lift people up. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, I'm not gifted in a whole lot of things. This is one thing I do enjoy doing. I like to lift people up. I like to pump them up. I like to see you get encouraged and get excited and get happy. That's why Thursday nights are crazy. I'm always moving all around, all right? That's who I am. I like to pump you up, all right? Guess what? If you're an encourager, encourage those around you. Amen. Pump them up. Help lift them up. How many guys, if I were to go around the room, you know I wouldn't do it, but if I were to go around the room and I'd ask you, what happened this week? What happened this week? What happened this week? Every one of us, if we were to pull back the curtain of our heart and we were to let everybody see what had gone on, everybody would see, man, they went through some stuff. And that happened? Oh, they've got that burden on their heart. And we come to church and there's a smile pasted on and everything's fine. And that's okay, I understand that. But every one of us carries burdens, and a lot of times we get brought low and we need somebody to exhort us, kind of encourage us. Now, if I could say this, if I could kind of step where angels dare to try kind of a deal, there are some TV preachers that I'm not necessarily against what they say, I'm just against what they don't say. Does that make sense? But there's one guy I'm thinking of, got a huge church down at Texas, and he's always smiling like this. And every day he's got a big old smile on his face, and he tells you encouraging stories, and makes you feel warm and bubbly inside. It's all good, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? What's his name? Osteen, Joel Osteen, right? Now listen, most of everything that comes out of that guy's mouth, I'm not against it. I just wish he would confront a little bit more about some things. Now I'm not picking on him, but having said that, he gets bashed by a lot of people in this circle. And I'm not saying he's 100% right, but let me say this. I can tell you what I believe his spiritual gift is exhortation. He's an encourager. That's just by nature, that's who he is. He lifts people up. Now you get somebody's gifted in encouraging, they're not real good at confrontation. And he is so gifted, I think, in exhortation that he just can't confront people real well. He's not good at getting up in the pulpit and saying, this is how it is, and so there it is. All right, now there's other people that they are real good at confrontation. And by nature, they are scrubbers. Right, Miss Donna? Yeah. There you go. Love you, sweetheart. I'm not picking on you. I'm sort of the same way, all right? But there are certain people, something goes wrong. They are right there to tell you about it. Let me confront you in Christian love. All right? No, I'm just teasing. All right? But there are people that are just confronters. And that's good, and we need that, and it helps keep everything in balance, and everything works together, and there's opposite functions, but when they all come together, there's one purpose that gets accomplished. That's carrying the gospel. Now, one word of warning I will say about this. An exhorter is somebody that's an encourager. Most often, they'll stay discouraged themselves. Sort of like a bank ATM, they give out, 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 they give out. They don't have too much being put back in, so they'll stay discouraged. So guess what? If you know somebody in this church, and you're like, man, that's an exhorter. They're an encourager. They're an encourager. Guess what? Try to encourage them back because they're not getting a whole lot of it. Somebody that's a teacher or a preacher, and they're giving out all kinds of spiritual truths, hey, try to encourage them because they're going to get drained. See how it all works together and all just kind of comes together, and there's just one central purpose with it. Let me say this: he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. How many guys understand there's a complicated process?
Amen.
For the average man to reach his right hand to his back pocket. Everybody understand that? It's complicated for most of us dudes. See, there's a muscle. And Brother Jim can tell me the tendon name. I don't know the tendon name. But it stops me from going too far back. See what I'm saying? You know, like, yeah, let me pay for that. I found the wallet. There it is. And you open it up, and mothballs fly out, moths go everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's a complicated process for most men to give out stuff. I can say that Brother Jim has the gift of giving. My uncle also has the gift of giving. For him, I watched him give some money out. Man, it was paying free. He just whipped it out, and there it is. And I'm thinking, that looked like it hurt. And he's like, no, it's simple for him. He's gifted in that. Does that make sense? So he that giveth, let him do with simplicity. He that ruleth, let me move on. He that ruleth with diligence. You've got the gift of administration. Help organize stuff. Man, if you're walking through the church and you look at a room and it's a Sunday school classroom, and Dustin, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? You got that gift, don't you? Yeah. There it is. Yeah. And you see something disorganized and you're like, and jump in there and get her done, all right? Hey, if you see something that grabs you and you're like, man, I want that taken care of, hey, by all means, jump in and help take care of it. Make sense? All right. He that sheweth mercy with cheerfulness. One of the gift of mercy is one of the most lacking, I believe, in today's day and age as far as the church goes. Is the gift of mercy. The gift to be able to look at somebody and say, despite where you're at, let me love you where you are. That's my heart. I want to love you just exactly where you're at. I love you too much to leave you stay there. Don't misunderstand. I'm going to abhor evil. I'm going to love you. I'm going to hate your sin. But I'm going to love you just exactly right where you are. You better believe it. I'm going to be right there. That's just my heart. That's the gift of mercy. And all these things come together. All these different gifts, all these different people, all these different races. Hey, listen, everybody comes together. We come into this room and we sit here and it's more. Don't you guys understand this? And I'm running out of time. I'm trying not to. But church is more than just showing up and sitting down in a church and then listening to some preacher get up and preach a quick message and going on your merry way. Understand, church is more than that.
Amen.
In any given church, and I've seen this all over this state and several others I've got to preach at, I've watched people come into a church, and they leave, and they come into a church, and they leave, they come into a church, and they leave, and in talking to those people, I found this: the number one reason, Brother Jim, they left was involvement. They never got plugged in. They never got a ministry. They never got involved.
Yeah, amen.
And so listen, I'm not pushing you guys to work, but I am pushing you guys to get plugged in. Get involved in a ministry, get involved in a Sunday school class, come up to the preacher and say, hey preacher, where can I be used? How can I be used of God? And then, like what the one preacher just said, what was it, Congress? When he picks himself up off the floor, he'll tell you where to go. Amen? Understand this. Every one of us, if we're willing to come forward and say, God, you're gifting me in this area, let me use this gift for you to further your work. And I do it, and you do it, and everybody else does it. This church will go places. Places we never thought we'd go. You say, preacher, you don't understand where I come from. You don't understand what I've done. You don't understand where I am. Now, friend, you don't understand this. that God I serve is able to use you just as you are, and He'll change as you go.
Amen. That's right.
Amen. Do we have any finished work in the house today? We're all vessels, right?
Right.
2 Timothy, 1 Timothy, we're all vessels. And Jeremiah 17 likens us to being on a potter's wheel. We're being molded and being made. Brother Jim, are you complete yet? How long has he been working on you?
Just like I say.
Yeah, how long? What kind?
45 years.
45 years he's been molding you. Yeah. Jesus has been working on me for a number of years too. He doesn't give up twice. Started over again. Amen. I know God's got something for me, but He's looking at me and He's going, man, I don't know what in the world's wrong with this clay. He's got a big praise man, all right? But I'm being molded, I'm being made, and God's working on me, and God's working on you. Ain't nobody perfect here in this place. But we do have one central purpose. We do have one central theme, and that's to get the gospel out into a lost and dying world. Does that make sense? Amen. So when I'm pleading with you folks, if you're here and you've got a spiritual gift, and by the way you do, be willing to go to God and say, God, I'll use that gift for you. I'll do that for you. I want to be used. See, it's like this. Much as, preacher, much as she would love, and that man's got a heart the size of Texas. I'm not just saying that because he's up on stage or he's my dad, although he is both. As much as he would like to see this whole church carried on his shoulders, he can't do it. And listen, folks, if it was up to me, man, it would be packed down. But you know what? I can't do it by myself either. It just takes one or two people not doing their job, and it affects the whole rest of the body. There's a couple functions that are real vital. Brother Jim, your liver, which side's that on? It's somewhere in your guts. Amen? All right? My liver shuts down, my body's going down, right? My heart quits working, I'm going down.
Amen.
There are a couple things, though, like a leg or an arm or a hand that can quit working, and I can sort of go on. I can limp on a little bit, I can keep walking, but I'm not able to do what I'm supposed to do. You're going to get that. You folks that think you guys got no big, listen, there ain't no big thing in this church. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't, I'm not important. Yes, you are.
Amen. That's right. Listen,
it's something as simple as your big toe. By the way, there aren't any big toes in our day this morning. Just want to throw that out. All right? Simple as a big toe in your foot. You have any idea what that thing does? You're going to limp for the rest of your life. You don't have that thing. You think a toe? Yeah, it'll have a huge impact on your body. Listen, you said, preacher, I'm nothing important. Yes, you are. You're important to the work of God, and it takes all of us doing our part to get this thing done.
Amen.
So let me close with this, and we'll sit down and we'll shut up. Every one of us. Good stuff, huh? Amen. Sit down and shut up. We all want it. Every one of us, it takes all of us.
Right.
Being willing to come forward and say, Lord, I will do plugged in, get involved, and then you are essential to EDC. You're part of the family. I love you, and this preacher loves you, everybody around you loves you. I want to see this place set on fire for God. And when you're hurt, you're hurt. When you're down, you're down. So we're in this thing together. Why not together get something done? Amen. Amen. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, God, I come before you thanking and praising you, Father, for who you are, for what you've done. I ask now, Father, that you be with the altar call.